Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we all know that the US is in a proxy war with Russia in Ukraine. Well, did you know that the US is in a proxy war with Russia in a whole nother part of the world? Yeah, unfortunately, this is true. So if we run over here to the Wall Street Journal, this is today's copy of the Wall Street Journal downloaded. So I saw this article, caught my interest, sounded like you read the headline, sounds like a good thing. You dig into the article, it's a whole different story. U.S. builds firewall to stop spread of militant Islamists. Get those guys. Anyway, so in this article, it goes on to say that Kuala Niger, for those not familiar where Niger is, I had to look it up as well. It is right here, dead center in the middle of Africa. The countries we're really going to look at here to keep an eye on as we progress through this, we're going to look at Mali, Niger, Nigeria, and Ghana. Okay, so let's run back over to our article. In the heart of the region, the nations of Mali and Burkina Faso are losing ground, roiled by militant attacks and military coups. Okay, fair enough. Like Islamists are in there, they're taking over and they're fighting. On the surface, this seems straight up. But where this started to take a turn for me, Mali's ruling Janetta has hired Kremlin-linked mercenaries to provide security, while Niger has shunned Russian intervention and welcomed U.S. and French forces. As we can see, we're already setting the stage, and we're going to dig into this article. We'll run over to A10. But before we do that, let's talk about why the U.S. and Russia are fighting in these areas. What does Niger have? So the Russian forces are stationed in Mali, U.S. and French forces, and the Germans are going to come into this too. The whole NATO gang's down here. It's the same nonsense, just not in Ukraine. It's ridiculous. So Niger, they've got a lot of land, much like Ukraine. They have a lot of oil. They're actually really rich in oil. Again, we're fighting over oil, even though we're doing green energy. We run down, we get into the minerals. Uranium jumped out at me. They're estimated to have more than 100 million tons of the mineral. And in 2012, which is a while ago, they exported 4,821 tons of the stuff. Coal, everything that we're told that we need and we got to have, the U.S. is down here fighting and going for. The other thing, and the guys that are right on the cusp and right on the edge of this fighting, is Ghana. So Ghana is all right in there. Let me find the little map for you. So this map here shows the area zoomed in. Here's Mali, where the Russian forces are. Here's Niger, where the NATO forces and the US are at. Here's Ghana. Ghana is the 6th largest producer of gold in the world. It beats Nevada. So as we can see, Ghana produced 5 million ounces of gold in 2020. So there's a significant reason for this. I personally believe that we're going to see gold explode as all these fiat monetary currencies collapse. We're not going to get into that in this video. Just know that gold is going to become the new move, especially when Russia says, hey, we're only going to accept gold. 2 grams of gold for 2 barrels of oil is really what I think we're going to see. We're waiting to see that play out. But gold's going to go back to becoming the standard, and this dollar is going to fall apart. So these big boys are down here playing around for the gold, the uranium, and the arable land. If you look at it, it's the same thing they're doing in the Ukraine. Okay, back to the article. So in the article, we can see and we can tally. Sorry, zoomed a little too far there. French military helicopters delivered members of an elite U.S.-trained Nigerian strike force to the village in the dark at night. This article goes on to describe several attacks that took place. U.S. Special Forces are there running drones. They're running both surveillance and operations for these guys. This is Afghanistan all over again. The U.S. has a small number of special forces in the area, training these Niger forces to go ahead and go carry out the missions. So the article went on to say that U.S. commandos accompanied Nigerian forces for combat missions in 2017. 2017, 4 of them were killed in an attack. The U.S. pulled back, and now they just direct the missions, much like they did with Afghanistan forces. So the article further goes on to say, and I encourage you guys to go read this. You'll have to download it from the Wall Street Journal. I signed up, they emailed to me. That's how I got it. So I don't have a direct link for you. This is a PDF that's actually on my computer. So what it went on to say is that these groups in Mali are in bed with Wagner. Wagner Group is a Russian personal military. Think Blackwater, like the U.S. used to have in Afghanistan. I mean, this is just rinse and repeat stuff. It's just absolutely and utterly insane. So the U.S. has turned their back on Mali because they've gone ahead and hitched up with the Russians. And I know what side I'm on at this point. Like, I just think we're in the wrong again. But France, a former colonial power in the region, deployed thousands of troops to Mali until the country's ruling Janetta evicted them earlier this year. So you can see that these people are turning on NATO, much like everybody else is turning on NATO in the US. And they went along and they moved over to the Wagner Group. As a US citizen, you have to begin to ask yourself why the world is turning on NATO and on the US. In my opinion, we are not the good guys, and we are not doing the up and up out there in the world. And these other countries see it, and they're moving away from us. So the article goes on to say, and I also found this interesting, is this also reminded me of Afghanistan. So it might take 10 years or 20 years of fighting, and in the end, you'll have to negotiate anyway. So the people on the ground that aren't getting these defense kickbacks and taking this defense money are actually asking for negotiations now. It's no different than the people in Ukraine. Like, just negotiate and get it settled and don't have the bloodshed. We continue to see it. Like in October, at least 8 people died in a government airstrike on an informal gold mining site in the Burkina Faso border. I apologize, I'll butcher the words all day long. The Nigerian military said the dead were militants who killed 2 policemen at a checkpoint. Otherwise, they said they were civilian workers trying to scratch out a living. So we already have civilian casualties. The people on the ground and the people in this region do not want this war. This is the U.S. pushing this. This is the U.S. driving this. We got to stop this nonsense. It's absolutely and utterly ridiculous. The Biden administration contends that the weakly governed countries create sanctuaries for violent groups that aspire to carry out plots against the U.S. and overseas interests. I don't believe a lick of this. I think this is absolute propaganda. This is the U.S. and Russia. And I guarantee you China's heavy in Africa. I guarantee you they're in this mix, but we didn't see it in this article. These guys are in here fighting for these resources and trying to get 10, 20-year control over this to get the stuff that they want out of here. Continue to cause chaos and disruption within these African countries. Africa, population-wise, is exploding. It's on the up and up. It's using digital currencies. It just can't get out of its own way because of corruption and the meddling of the CIA, the NSA, all of these 3-letter organizations that go in and do all of this nonsense all the time. Here we are again, causing problems and just absolutely disrupting a region. I see why the world hates us. Like, first we're doing it in the Middle East. Now we're in Africa doing it. We're over in Eastern Europe doing it. Like, knock it the hell off. Like, it's just getting absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm tired of deploying military assets to continue to fuel the defense industry and to continue to disrupt these people's lives. Like, let's build partnerships, loan them the money, and let's build out organizations and put some stable stuff in place rather than going in and using the military every time. Let's go in and use some actual legitimate policy and do it the right way. This isn't working, and the people in these areas don't want it. We have got to knock this nonsense off. Like, and you're not going to hear about this in the mainstream media. They're not going to tell you about it. And they're not going to be, this is happening in the shadows. It's been happening for a while. It's just continuing to escalate. I guarantee you this will be the next pivot. When Ukraine's over, we're going to go right to Africa. We have all these problems. All the groundwork's being laid. Here it is. I encourage you to go take a look. I'll put links to everything I can. The Wall Street, like I said, the Wall Street Journal article. You'll have to go sign up and download or get a copy of today's paper if you want to read that article. So I encourage you to check it out. Again, another friggin' proxy war. I'm so tired of being at war. And what I absolutely do not want to see is we go into this nonsense and we do the same bullshit that we did in Afghanistan, where we just leave those people high and dry. We didn't bring the interpreters home. We're not talking about that. That completely dropped off the radar. And here we are doing the same nonsense again. It's absolutely sickening and infuriating. Anyway, go check this out. I'll catch you guys in the next one.